Hello everybody, Bill Owen from mmPCTech.com. Other than adding windows to your computer case, one of the most popular things to do for modders is to add more fans or larger fans to improve cooling in their system. In this guide I'm going to show you the most popular method, which is the hole saw attachment. Starting from left to right, here is the most common size computer cooling fans. 80 millimeter, and for that size you want to use a 3-inch size hole saw attachment. And then 92 millimeter with a 3.5-inch size hole saw attachment, and finally 120 millimeter size fan, you'll use a 4.5-inch size hole saw attachment. In order to use a hole saw attachment, you will need either a drill press or a power drill, or something like this cordless Bosch 18-volt drill. And you also need your drill to have a 1/2-inch size chuck. The reason being, in order to use a hole saw blade, you're going to need an arbor, and this allows you to attach the hole saw blade to your power drill. And arbors are typically sold with 1/2-inch size shafts. Arbors come with a drill bit in the center, which acts as your first pilot hole for the hole saw blade. The arbor just simply screws in the back of the hole saw blade, and there's 2 pilot pins in it, and you just match up the pins in the holes inside of the hole saw blade. Fasten those in, and you're ready to attach your hole saw blade to your drill press or whatever type of drill you're using. The most important thing to use before starting any type of mod work is a good pair of safety glasses. Here are the tools and supplies I like to use before using a hole saw attachment to make a fan hole. I'll start off with a low-tack masking tape. This is a 2-inch wide painter's tape made by Scotch, which is a 3M company. And when I say low tack, that means that when you go to peel the tape off later, it doesn't leave a gluey residue on the surface of your panel. Then what I like to use is a measuring square, and this allows me to align the ruler straight with the edge of the panel so the fan hole location is perfectly straight. I also prefer to use wire fan guards. These make perfect templates for tracing your circle for the fan hole. You can buy these grills at mmPCTech.com. I like to use what's called a center punch to mark off those exact points. That way the drill bit won't wander at all. For drilling the fan screw mounting holes, I use a 3/16-inch size drill bit. I like to take a rounded side file and just file down the edge of the cut of any jagged metal. And finally, threaded C-clamps. I use these to fasten the computer case panel to an edge of a table or workbench to hold the panel in place as I use the hole saw. And what I've got here is a left access panel. This is an aluminum panel, and we're going to mark off a position for a 120 millimeter cooling fan. The last thing you want to do is scratch up a panel that you're adding a fan to. Usually it's always best to add a fan hole before you're going to paint a panel yourself. Now the fan that we're installing is going to be an exhaust fan for the CPU and GPU area in the left access panel. First thing you want to do is grab your measuring square, then the wire fan guard. We're using a 120 millimeter fan, so I've got the 120 millimeter fan guard. Now I pre-measured, I wanted to go 5 inches into the center of the fan from the rear edge, and then 3.5 inches up from the bottom. So that's where this fan will be located. Once you have that center point, mark it off with a pen. And now use your measuring square, line up on the edge of the panel, and take that fan grill and line it up right on that measuring square so it's perfectly straight across. Now you're ready to trace the fan grill and mark the fan screw mounting points. This is again why I really like these wire fan guards, is because they make great stencils, templates for marking off fan holes, and they also have great airflow too, so that's a bonus. And just go over the fan screw points you marked off for your center punch. And of course, most importantly, the center. What I've got is 1.5 inch thick pieces of wood, and you'll see that you want the wood thick enough so when the hole saw goes through to cut the panel, that your pilot drill bit doesn't hit your work surface. These are 7 inches wide by 12 inches long, and there's 2 of them. And this is a perfect size for a mid-tower size panel because you want it in the center. You want the wood in the center of the panel so that you're not bending the tabs that allow you to put your panel back onto the chassis. What you want to do is you've got the lip on the back side of the panel. Just put that over the wood. And again, make sure you clear the tabs so the panel is completely flush on the surface of the blocks of wood. I'll always use a piece of plastic with a protective surface on it, or a piece of metal with tape wrapped around it to put that under the head of the C-clamp so I'm not denting or scratching the surface of the panel that I'm fastening down. Go ahead and put it in that little divot hole. And again, I'm using an 18 volt Bosch cordless drill, and this is a 4.5 inch size hole saw attachment. Just go slow at first. You'll feel it sink into the wood. Try to keep an even amount of pressure around the hole saw and take your time, don't rush it. You'll pretty much want to go until you see wood come out, or you can feel it go through to the wood. There we go. It's hot too. For the screw mounting holes, you want to use a 3/16 inch size drill bit. You have your fan hole cut out and your fan screw holes drilled out, you'll probably be using the traditional tapered screws that are included with most computer cooling fans on the market today. This job was actually for a customer, and they had requested that we use the MMPC Tech U channel around the edge of the fan hole, then the MMPC Tech anti-vibration fan grommets, and then number 10 by 5/8 black oxide tapered screws. In order to use these screws and fan grommets, you will have needed to use a 1/4 inch size drill bit to drill out the screw mounting holes instead of the 3/16 inch size we use in the guide. I'm going to show you how we install the MMPC Tech grommets and number 10 by 5/8 screws. Again, you're going to use a 1/4 inch size drill bit to use these grommets. So you can simply enlarge your existing computer fan screw mounting holes to 1/4 inch size. In order to install the anti-vibration grommet, you're going to use a flathead micro screwdriver. And you're going to use the tip to pry the lower half of the grommet into the 1/4 inch size hole by gently going around prying that half into the hole. Just like that. Since our fan hole size is 4.5 inches, the U channel you should cut to 14.5 inches. I typically start at the bottom of the hole and just gently go around. Once the fan is fastened in, it will help keep the U channel in place as well. Otherwise, the U channel is pretty good at staying in there on its own. This is a chrome wire guard from MMPC Tech. Same as the one that we used earlier in the video to mark off our fan location. These are only $1.99 from mmpctech.com, and they've got great airflow, and they look cool, and they're great for making templates with. That's why I use them, and that's why I sell them. I'll just get these screws started in the grommets, and then I'll grab a fan. The fan that we're using is a Yatloon blue LED fan, and this is 47 CFM with a decibel rating of 28. And this is also another product that MMPC Tech sells. Alright, that is it for our CPU and GPU cooling fan in the side panel. So with this tutorial, it can apply to other panels as well, like your top panel for doing an exhaust blowhole fan, or on the front as an intake. And the most important thing to remember is just spend your time doing good preparation so you don't damage anything, and your work is done right the first time.